this is what former European champion Tina Cook has to say about her EcoVoltz Aventa bike.
This EcoVoltz bike is just fantastic. I have been eventing for over 30 years now and spend my whole time being late or rushing around, and we can just jump on it and go round the course if we need to go quickly. It's really useful for my mum now that my daughter's eventing, and that she can come and watch us and get out on the course. And mum is nearly 80, she's quite a young 80, but she's still 80 and she can get on this bike and she loves it. So it's been a fantastic part of our equipment at an event now.
The start of the season, listeners, means that the big events start to come thick and fast, and with it, the preview shows as well, because it is Thoresby, the eventing Spring Carnaval. Spring, what a word, spring. This coming weekend. And this show is brought to you by our friends at EcoVoltz. We'll be talking about them a lot over the next couple of months. And if you're at Thoresby, make sure you go and visit them, because it is actually the home of EcoVoltz electric bikes. They will be up in their normal stand at the Roundhouse, which is where they're based all year round. So we'll talk about them in a little bit more detail later on. But first of all, Catherine Austin, I've missed you, and I'm so happy we get to come back for a preview show to talk about eventing.
It's nice to see your lovely smiling face, Nicole Brown. I mean, you talk about spring. Is it spring? Because, you know, in the words of Andrew McDowell, I hadn't noticed. So,
like I said it through gritted teeth, because we're all doing a sun dance, listeners.
I know. The hunting season is over. The mucking out season is not over and shows no sign of coming to a close. Anyway, eventing, which is getting going, is more exciting.
It feels like the start of the season, first big international on British soil. We've got Kentucky on the horizon. We've got badminton on the horizon. We've got Paris on the not too distant horizon as well. Rosie, it feels like we don't know even more whether people are going to run, whether they're going to run quickly, what their plans are, because there's so many different moving pieces of the puzzle at this time of year. But we're going to give it our best shot.
It's really, really open, but I think that provides more excitement because you are so unknown on what's going to happen. It's really exciting as well to see what people have been up to in the winter. You know, the people who we say, could work on their dressage, suddenly come out and produce like 22s. It just throws a whole different ball into the mix. And I think this is a really exciting time of the year because although it's hard for us because we have no clue what's going on, it just adds that spark of interest as to where people are going, what they're doing, how they're going to run, and how the winter's gone.
And the new horses.
Yes.
Those new combinations that come together, particularly, you always get this in an Olympic year, particularly because there's pressure to get the combinations up and running together. But I find that exciting.
Feels like all the hopes and dreams are still alive.
Haven't yet been shattered. Yes,
exactly. They're a little bit dampened in places, but they're all still alive. It should be said as well, you know, we've got a brilliant bumper field at Thoresby for this weekend, and we're looking forward to seeing actually who is going to take the Grantham Cup. So there's two sections of 4-star. You've got the Grantham Cup section, which is arguably by far the most competitive, and then you have another 4-star section simply because logistically you couldn't run them all at once, but they've got lots of other international classes as well. They've got the 3-star, they've got lots of national classes. Like, it is a real feature at the start of the British eventing season, and there is a whole host of names littered throughout it. So let's start with the Grantham Cup, the feature class. Captain Mark Phillips, would anybody like to hear what he says about his cross-country course?
Yes.
Let's see what sneaky insights we can give you. So basically, a nice easy start, as easy as you could get at 4-star, I imagine. But for horses, plenty of this calibre, I think that they should find it quite straightforward. The questions really come in the middle part of the course, which comes around sort of the magnificent Thoresby House, and like it's one of those really, really cool venues. So the middle part of the course is the serious part of the course, and then it's a pretty nice finish towards the latter part of the course. It's always a really important first 4-star of the year for a lot of these horses. They won't have run internationally. They'll have perhaps run a couple of national competitions. Some we might be seeing for the very first time. So I think getting that preparation for the big 5 stars to come, the big targets to come, from the captain is always quite a tough ask, but bearing in mind that it is the early part of the season, you've got to create a true test, but also, you know, some horses haven't been out yet as well. Okay, so let's start with the top of the market, because the favourite on the Equiratings Prediction Centre is an Eco Voltz rider. It is Laura Collett and London 52. And rather than us speculate wildly about what Laura's plans are going to be, we actually caught up with Laura herself to hear her thoughts going into Thoresby with her rides this year. Laura Collett, how are you? How was your winter? And are you still afloat in sunny Leicestershire?
Yes, just about. Yeah, we had a very wet winter, as did everyone, but we're struggling on through.
How are all of the horses?
Touch wood, they're all in very good form, ready to sort of get out and rock and roll now. It seems to have been a long winter, but yeah, just itching to get going now.
It feels like now the season's finally here. We've been talking about Paris and like what the plan is for 2024, and all of a sudden it's like, oh God, it's here and we're mere months away. How do you even go about planning a season building up to the Olympic Games? Because I imagine it has given you a lot of headaches and a lot of thought.
Yes. Yeah, obviously it's everyone's aim, and there's only 3 spaces, so it's kind of hoping and praying and working backwards from what if you get selected, and trying to plan the best route to A, prepare, and B, try and get selected all at the same time. So yeah, it's a bit of a head scratching exercise, and who knows, no one really tells you what the right or wrong thing to do is, so you kind of just have to take a guess and hope you're right. But yeah, so it was kind of my decision early on not to aim down for badminton, because I look back to the year of Tokyo, and there wasn't a badminton, there wasn't any spring, other than going to America, any spring 3 days. So we went down the 4-star short route that year, and that seemed to work quite well. So kind of thought, let's go back down that route. And the way the Olympics is nowadays, I don't personally feel like badminton has a huge relevance to what you're going to get at the Olympics. So therefore, I think running around 4-star shorts gives you more of what you're going to get there. A bit sort of, you know, everything coming up very quickly, and having to run, you know, around the short formats quickly, I think is better preparation. So that's kind of the route I've decided to go down.
By going the 4-star short route, do you feel like you've almost got more options because you're not aiming for that one big spring target, that actually there's a few more different events that you could reroute to if you needed to?
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's more opportunities to try and prove yourself, rather than putting all your eggs in badminton's basket. And you know, if that's the route you're going down, and then the ground comes up like it did last year, well, you know, then what are you going to do? So yeah, I think it gives you more options, more opportunities to try and prove your form and see where you're at, really.
So what, dare I ask, what is the plan A, all things being well, all weather being on board? What's the kind of next few months look like?
Yeah, I mean, $1 million question. Depends, first of all, what the weather does. But like, obviously, first things first would be Thoresby for the 4-star short. Hope to get a good run in there, and then kind of see where we're at, and see how many more 4-star shorts I think he maybe needs to do. I've penciled in Bicton and Lamoulan 4 shorts, because I think they were very, very good tracks, and they're both dressage and show jumping on a surface, which is obviously what you're going to get in Paris. And Lamoulan will have atmosphere, so I think that would be a good challenge. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't come off, then I'll make an autumn plan to go and try and win another 5-star. But that's the kind of route we're going down this spring.
So what is the plan? Obviously, Thoresby, you've got London 52 who tops the prediction centre. He is, we all know, unbelievably competitive at the 4-star level. But you've also got a couple of other rides in the 4-star in Hester and Bling. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts for them coming into this weekend.
Obviously they're two really, really fun horses to ride, both a little bit tricky on the flat, but very, very good jumpers. The aim at the moment is to take those two to Badminton, but it's very dependent on how they come out because they're quite low on mileage, so they'd have to come out feeling as good as they finished off at Blenheim. They both did lovely double clears at Blenheim and felt amazing, so that's what we're kind of, the dreams are alive at the moment, but we'll see how they come out.
Are you quite excited? Because it's been a little while since you've had a couple of horses at a 5-star and a couple of new horses at the 5-star level. Is it quite an exciting challenge to kind of feel like actually it's a different Badminton to a couple of years ago, but actually an exciting one?
It's really exciting because they're both sort of starting their 5-star journey, and I have a lot of belief in both of them. They're both fantastic cross-country horses, who I am very excited to see them step up. So really looking forward to it, whether it be at Badminton in the spring or something a bit later in the year. But I think they are, over the next year or two, going to be hopefully the stars of the show and keep improving. They're not going to go and win Badminton this year, under absolutely no illusions on that. But I think it would be a really good starting place for them, and they've both got huge improvements to come in them. They're improving all the time, and hopefully we can just get a bit of education and experience into them whilst they're still improving.
Now, I have to ask you as well, this show is brought to our listeners by Voltz, who have been a long-term supporter of yours, and you got some rather fancy new wheels over the winter, Laura, didn't you?
Yes, very, very spoilt. They very kindly said that they'd make me a bit of a custom-made colour scheme. So hopefully, because I was always thinking I was picking my bike up, but everyone has the same colour. So I was always having to double check it was mine and not someone else's. So hopefully we won't be driving off in anyone else's wheels. But yeah, it's a very snazzy, very shiny, very cool new bike, which I will be flying around the place on.
There we go, listeners. I have to admit, they are a lot of fun to ride, the electric bike. They too take a good bit of skill, Laura. I would say my own electric bike riding skills, I was going to say possibly, but I'd say definitely need some improvement. What is your top tip?
Oh, I'm definitely not the person to ask. I'm terrible on a bike, much safer on a horse, but they're great fun nevertheless. But hold tight basically, because they're more powerful than you think.
Hold tight, and if you see Laura coming towards you on her very snazzy bike, find out the way. Exactly. Yeah. Laura, thank you so much. Let's keep all of our fingers crossed that the weather for Thoresby is lovely and sunny and we enjoy a beautiful Easter weekend in the sunshine. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, and best of luck over the next few months. I'm sure we'll catch up at some point, but it's an exciting time, and I guess don't forget to enjoy it, because this is what you guys live for.
Yes, we do. We do need to remember to enjoy it. In a very, very privileged position, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So, I have to keep reminding myself that.
Watch this space. We can't wait to see. Laura, thank you. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so the rest of the fields. Catherine, I mean, obviously you've got London 52 in there, but where on earth do you start here? Because there is so much strength and depth.
Given how unpredictable the weather has been, I don't think we can tell how soft it's going to be and quite who will run quickly, not run, etc., etc. It's totally personal choice depending on you, your horse, what they like, what your plans are, etc., etc. But let's assume that everything's going to run, and you can group, actually, London, you can group together with the others, with Banzai de Loire, with Lordship's Gruffalo, with Isolot DHI as 5-star winners. They're all exceptional. It'll be great to see them. Highly competitive in the dressage amongst that group. You have to go down to, Kitty King and Vonjdi Biats are about 6th on this list with a 7% win chance, 20% of finishing in the top 3. And they were individual silver medalists at the Europeans last year. It is packed full of highly competitive 5-star horses.
So where do we start then in terms of breaking that down?
Lordship's Gruffalo, because he is the horse that has unimpeachable form.
So he actually,
Europeans winner.
He has a 9% win chance compared to London 52's 16% win chance. I was surprised actually that Lordship's Gruffalo wasn't higher. My guess is that it is because this is a 4-star short competition. He hasn't run, doesn't tend to run as competitively at 4-star shorts as the likes of Laura London 52. I think we're going to start to see a much clearer picture over the coming weeks when Kentucky and Badminton entries are announced in terms of what people's plans are. Laura took the 4-star short route en route to Tokyo, to the Olympic Games there, and it worked out very well for her. Lordship's Gruffalo ran here last year, Catherine, and I remember talking to Roz at Badminton, and she said, he hadn't run in the mud before Thoresby 12 months ago. She didn't know what she was going to get. And actually, that was a crucial part of her preparation then to go to Badminton, and it played out in her favour.
Yeah, and I think that's well worth everyone remembering that, we could easily have a soft ground Badminton and a soft ground Thoresby, and therefore there could well be benefit to running horses in the mud. Again, that depends on the age of the horse, I think, and their experience. Plenty of these top horses aren't that young and have got all the experience and might not need a softer ground run. But look, it worked out for Roz. And as we know, she's not only a great rider, she's a very, very shrewd cookie. So yes, you would imagine that hers will run.
I'm just going to put this out there, that listeners, because this is quite an interesting one. So I was just looking at Lordship's Gruffalo's record. He has run at Thoresby as part of his spring preparation for the last couple of years. He ran in the 4-star in 2022. He jumped double clear, did a sub-30 dressage, 3.2 time, finished on 32.6. Quick pop quiz. Where do you think that was good enough to see him finish on the leaderboard? 32.6 in a 4-star short 2 years ago.
It was drier back then, wasn't it?
Probably quite a long way down the field, because otherwise you wouldn't have said it.
15.
I would say 10th.
Yeah.
15. I mean, 32.6 in a 4-star short is a very good score. He finished in 15th place. Very much, I imagine, the plan that weekend wasn't to go and win the Grantham Cup. It was other things. He was en route to Badminton, etc. But then by comparison, last year, he jumped a very good clear cross country, 1 pole in the show, jumping 15.2 time penalties, slightly improved dressage, 27.4, finished on 46.6 and finished in 6th. The winner finished on a score of 41.2 compared to the year previously. That was Emily King, who won last year, compared to the year previously, where Piggy March and Brookfield Innocent won on a score of 23.1, I think. So, I mean,
and this is where scores have to be put into context, isn't it?
And you have to kind of take that with a pinch of salt.
I wish BE, I know, God, can you imagine their poor IT system? But, you know how on the Racing Post website, when you look at a horse's results, you can always see what the ground conditions were. How fascinating it would be if we could see what the ground conditions on the day were for eventing.
Do you know what you need, Catherine?
Mm-hmm.
You need an Echo Ratings high performance rating, an HPR.
Okay.
That would tell you, because that takes into account the ground conditions.
Well, there we go. Laura, she may well want to be very competitive here because she's not going to run him at a spring 5-star.
Or to counteract that argument, she may go, do you know what? It's wet. I've got other options. I can run at Burnham Market. I'm not planning to go to Kentucky or Badminton. I don't need to run a 4-star short now. I'm going to hold my horses, literally.
I know. We don't know.
Oh, the speculation at this time of the year, listeners. I'm sure you're shouting at us already. Rosie, who stands out for you? The top of the market, we've already said, 5-star winners galore. So who catches your eye?
See, thinking along the wet route, personally, I totally understand the Laura London 4-star supreme combination. But I think looking at this, Obviously, we know Lordship's Graffalo, little mud monster, absolutely fine. I really like the look of Vendredi Beat's Kitty King. Yes, they didn't particularly love the mud at the Europeans, but he dug deep and made it happen. And I think if she wants to have a competitive run at 4-star and it's wet, she can do it. You know, he is capable of running in the mud. A really, really, really super horse, you know, silver medal at the Europeans and at the Moulin. I think that they really stand out to me as ones that could be right up on that leaderboard if it is a wet cross country.
Interestingly, Thoresby, he ran here back in 2022, finished just a couple of places behind Lordship's Graffalo, actually, in 17th, almost an identical start to his season there. But he hasn't been a sort of a regular visitor to Thoresby at all. He's a really difficult one. I think the competition between the British team over the next couple of months is very interesting as to how it's going to play out, because your individual silver medalists from the European Championships, you could be looking at them and thinking, surely they're on the team for Paris. Like, surely, you know, we had the top two at the Europeans, but surely they've just got to come out and keep their form. However, there is so much competition, and we're going to see horses going to 5-star and being really competitive, that you kind of feel like they've got to come out and prove themselves. And that was the route they took into Tokyo. They ran very competitively at the 4-star short level, all of the horses that ended up going. And it did work out very, very well for them. When they got to Tokyo, they ran brilliantly. I'm going to throw in an interesting one, because I think they will run. I think they haven't got many options in terms of what their plan might be, because I believe, I think the plan is possibly a trip back across the pond this spring. Banzai de Loire Yazingham, who have run here previously and run very, very well. For me, you know, you kind of actually don't have that many weeks now before you get on a plane and go to Kentucky. You run at Burnham Market, and actually your turnaround onto a flight is pretty damn quick. There's no Western Park Advanced the week after Thoresby. And so for me, she'll run. This is the world champion from 2022, and I think she'll run competitively. And I think she'll go very, very well this weekend.
Moving down the prediction centre slightly, what about last year's winners?
Emily King.
That's a really good shout. Last year was wet, deep. They were absolutely fine there.
Just on the simple fact of having proved it.
Yeah.
Been interesting to see Cool Park Sarko.
I'm looking forward to seeing Chilly Knight back out with Gemma Stevens. We've not seen them for a good while. Obviously, they had their win at Bicton 5-star, but have had a little bit of a quieter 2022, 2023. I think they could be really exciting to see back out. Proper cross-country machine.
Yeah. I mean, way down the order is Austin O'Connor and Colorado Blue.
I mean, it could be their weekend.
I can't imagine it bother them.
I was going to say, to be honest, I mean, where do you have to go down to find Colorado Blue?
I can't count that far down.
I mean, he is that's ridiculous. He has a less than a 7% chance of a top 10 finish. Prediction Centre, I'm going to publicly disagree with you, because actually he could. You look at two very, very different competitions, like we've said. 2022, when the ground was good and the scores were very, very tight, compared to 2023 when the ground was very wet. Yes, there are a lot of withdrawals, but actually there are a lot of time penalties as well. A day where the likes of Colorado Blue would really climb up the leaderboard. I agree. I think Emily King, Velmi Biatz is definitely one to look out for. Interestingly, we haven't actually touched upon him yet. And I think we should be, because he could well be winning here. He actually holds the record for best dressage score at Thoresby at 23.9. Is Piggy March's Brookfield Innocent, who is back. You know, this is the horse who was favourite for Badminton in 2022, was favourite for Burghley in 2023, didn't make it to either of them. I believe Plan A is Badminton. It's his first run since he had that brilliant win at Hartbury in the 4-star last year. In talking to the owners previously, he doesn't like to run slowly cross country. You know, that isn't a...
Not them.
It isn't a... He doesn't like to go slow. You kind of, some horses don't. You've got to kind of crack on and see what comes. And I actually think he is the winner for me. Brookfield Innocent finished on a score of 23.9 when he won that really competitive section in 2022.
She's got nothing to lose in terms of trying to, join an outside chance at getting either a really great 5-star result on him this spring or possibly, a team consideration. And as we know, Piggy is an exceptionally competitive rider. Yeah, I think you're probably right.
For me, I actually can't see past them. In his last 5 internationals, he has been unbelievably consistent. 23.3, 23.9, 23.6, 26.9, 28.3. He's jumped clear cross country in all of them. He's added 1 second, and the 1 second was in a 3-star, and the 1 rail he's had was in a 3-star. So in his last 4 4-stars, which includes the Europeans in Avanche in 2021, that is how lightly he has been campaigned. He's added nothing to that dressage score, not been out of the top 3. For me, Brookfield Innocent is going to be stood on top of my podium.
I think that's a really, really great shout. Can I throw a dark horse in here?
You can go for it.
If you go further down the prediction centre, I think that Libby Seed's Heartbreaker Star Quality is a great one to pick up, because combination who ended the year at Poe didn't go to plan in the show jumping, because they are really, really good show jumpers, and it wasn't to be that day. Prior to that, they've had 9 double clears consecutively internationally. They are superb jumpers, normally around the low 30s in the dressage, so they're not going to contest the top of the leaderboard. But I think, if this does become a jumping competition, seriously ones to look out for, because in the final 2 phases, that's where they excel.
My dark horse is from Berner Lancer, ridden by Mark Davison. They have got absolutely outstanding form at a level below this. Pretty much won everything they touched last year in their first year as a partnership, and then ended up with something like, and this is going off memory, something like a 5th place in their first 4-star short together, Downham, something like that. And they're based with Piggy March. This is a former ride of hers, and that he's a big horse. Mark's a tall guy, and they've really gelled. And they would be my kind of ones for a top 5 placing, despite this highly competitive field.
I actually spoke to Mark last year, and we kind of went into a bit more detail about kind of taking on the horse and actually what that journey was like, because he had such competitive runs at 3-star, and he won a really good amount of money through the
Northumberland Challenge. Yes.
Northumberland Challenge. And actually, he's a really nice guy. He's got a couple of really nice additions to his string this year. We'll link that show in the show notes, actually, if you want to go and listen to it, listeners, because he is a real talent, lovely chap, very funny. And I think he's got a great chance. I've actually, listeners, I'm going to throw it out there. There's a couple in here that we've kind of not gone into too much detail on. And Catherine, I wanted to come to you first of all on Oliver's ride, because he's got Cooley Roseland. You have been a big Cooley Roseland fan over the last few years.
She's fabulous, isn't she? I mean, you just have to look at her. And, she went obviously extremely well in America at the 5-star last year. What's the word I'm thinking of? The name of that 5-star? Maryland. God, I'm I tell you, I'm losing my mind. Anyway, she went brilliantly there. She's bigger, she's stronger, she's strengthened over the winter. However, you probably want to doubt she will run cross country unless the ground is absolutely perfect. She's Oliver's only entry at Thoresby. I don't think it's generally an event that he has. Oliver targets generally exactly the same events this year, each year, and I think it's fairly unlikely she'll run cross country. I think she's more likely to go to Burnham Market.
He has the most ridiculous record at Burnham Market, and it's actually always proved to be a very, very good hunting ground for him as part of his sort of Kentucky, but particularly badminton preparations. So
yeah, you do what works, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
And why would you change it?
I'm actually just going to throw out a man who had 2 in the top 10 here last year, who actually, he finished last season in the top 5 of the world. He was on scintillating form. He doesn't mind a bit of mud. He somehow even manages to come home on the muddiest of days, I'm sure, with his immaculate white cross-country colours still immaculately white. Mud doesn't stick to Harry Mead because he's just like, it's cool.
What a quote.
That's probably going to bite me on the bum. Sorry, Harry. But you know what I mean, don't you? Like, actually, he rode brilliantly for the whole of last season. He's got a really good string of top class horses. And he was pretty, I remember looking back at the time, you know, when lots of people withdrew last year, he was pretty outspoken that the ground was good and his horses really benefited from it. And I think he will be looking to run. When we talk about what works, it worked for him last year. I think he's got a couple of really nice horses in this. Animal Valona, who went so well at Blenheim. He's got the brilliant Away Cruising, who will probably come home without a spot of mud on him just because they're beautifully white and like he just manages to glide everywhere very smoothly. I'm really
carried away, Nicole.
Yeah, I know. But he's got some nice horses in it, and I think he will, I'm sure, have big plans for badminton and the 5 stars on the horizon. So yeah, Harry Mead for me is in the list here. Anybody else before we go on to podiums? Anybody else that you want to pick up?
Well, Dreamliner and Tom Rowland, who first seasons together last year, did really, really well, progressed together. It's not always easy taking on a horse that's been ridden by someone as strong as Oliver Townend previously. And I thought Tom did an outstanding job, and they finished up with a really top placing at Blenheim. They will be wanting to be competitive here and might see their chance at being really competitive if others choose not to be.
Yeah, that's a good point. Tim Price, actually, we've kind of glossed over him, but he has Vitali, who has obviously had some incredible 5-star form. I imagine the plan is badminton. He also has Happy Boy in here as well. Janelle has Senor Crocodillo. They've been out in Cronenberg with a big old lorry load of horses, and I imagine these are the horses that perhaps have slightly different plans. Girillo is in the other 4-star section as well, but it'll be very interesting. We'll come on to that and touch upon that in a second. It'll be very interesting to see how his horses run this weekend, because actually they're all very competitive. I think we're probably just more inclined to think he's not going to have his foot down cross country. If anybody can prove us wrong, Tim can. But I think that's what you're looking for, somebody that will do a good dressage and will jump a fast double clear, I think, here, regardless of the ground. You know, you can pull up a lot of places if the ground is a little bit on the softer side.
It's spring eventing. It is it's not a clear picture for so many reasons, but it doesn't mean it's not fun to speculate.
Really keen to see Capel's Hollow Drift back out after the Europeans with Tom Jackson. I think it'll be great to watch them hopefully fly around this 4-star. But I think I'm really intrigued to see how people run this year, having looked back upon last year, seen the success of, like you say, Roz, Harry Mead, who did run in the mud. Are more people going to run in the mud and go for it and accept that this is eventing now? Or obviously it does depend on goals, the likes of the Olympics and things like that. But, you know, from the success of Harry and Roz, I'm intrigued to see how other people come into this year.
Yes, and you're half right. It's just that I think that it's always got to be dependent on what you're riding, not what someone else is riding.
And what your plans are, because it feels like actually if like we said with Laura, yes, she might choose to come out to be competitive, but she might also think, do you know, I don't need to run yet. He's been out nationally. I'm just going to hold my horses and go to Burnham Market in 2 weeks' time. The point.
Give us a list at the beginning of the season. You know, the top 10 would tell us exactly what they're planning to do. Our lives would be not as interesting, but more straightforward.
No, we'd probably get a lot more stuff right. I would say as well, though, that huge credit to the Thoresby team, because it must be unbelievably difficult to kind of battle against the elements. And they have been rewarded to the courses that they have created over the last couple of years with, you know, a brilliant entry of some of the world's best horses and riders in what should be a real carnival of eventing. And let's just hope that the weather plays ball and you get to enjoy an Easter weekend of eventing in the sunshine. How amazing would that be?
It would be lovely. And it's also worth pointing out that if you like going eventing in beautiful venues, then get on with it. Because, you know, in the last couple of weeks, we've had the news that Gatcombe won't run, that this is the last year of Blair. You know, the pressure is really on these venues. It is enormously expensive to put on lovely events on greenfield sites, and support them while they're here. Please do.
I could not agree more, to be honest, Catherine. And I would actually say that we should all get behind these events, because without spectators, without people supporting them, you know, it makes it more unviable for the organisers. We don't know how long we're going to be able to enjoy them, and actually we really should make the most of it. It is Easter weekend. There is loads going on, actually. So we've talked a lot about the kind of the top competition that's there, and you have got some of the world's best horsemen riders. Yes, we've speculated, will they run, won't they run? Who knows, because that's totally out of our control. But you will be in for a brilliant weekend, as it is anyway. There is the Great Thoresby Easter egg hunt, where you get guaranteed chocolate at the end, which I think makes it, this isn't something just for eventing enthusiasts. This is a real showcase of eventing to a much wider audience. So you've got lots of local people coming in. You've got lots of people who might not necessarily know a huge amount about eventing, and that it's fun for all the family. There's a gun dog show. There are falconry displays. There's loads of activities in the Thoresby courtyard. There's face painting, a fun fair, lots of shopping. Don't forget, if you go shopping, Voltz, our partners for this show, and big supporters of Thoresby as well. They are situated not in the Tradestand Village, but at the Roundhouse, which is just near the courtyard. It's literally the Roundhouse. You'll be able to find it very easily. But go and have a chat with Tracy and Alan there, and look at what they've got on offer. You'll see plenty of the Voltz bikes being used by lots of their riders throughout the weekend as well. There is, I think, the opportunity to have an Easter Sunday lunch in the members' arena, while enjoying a little bit of hospitality while watching the jumping. Children under 14 are free on all days as well. So look, if you're taking your kids, there's lots there to keep them entertained, and it is very good value. I think Easter Sunday, 2 adult tickets, parking, and a couple of Easter egg hunt tickets themselves, 15 quid. Absolute bargain.
I was just going to say, I'd be well up for an Easter egg hunt. That sounds amazing. Guaranteed chocolate as well. And then a whiz round on an Voltz bike, because the first time I ever rode one of them was at Badminton last year. And we all know the mud at Badminton last year. I was shocked how I just cruised along. There was like minimal effort. I just cruised straight through the mud where I needed to go, so fast, so efficient. And I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe the power in the bikes.
Absolute game changer. It makes a world of difference. And actually, plenty of their riders are competing here this weekend. Laura Collett is one of their riders. And actually, Laura has a very snazzy new Voltz bike, which is fully branded and looks very, very smart. So Laura is one of their riders. Felicity Collins, Tina Cook, Richard Jones, Heidi Coy. The list goes on, and there's plenty of them showcased at Thoresby throughout the weekend. Let's just touch upon the other 4-star section. We've not given it the amount of airtime simply because it isn't, and I say this in the nicest possible way, as competitive as the Grantham Cup, simply because, you know, you've got a whole host of 5-star winners. This is sort of your place to look for some up and coming stars, and possibly a combination. Catherine, you said at the start of the show you love seeing kind of new combinations coming out, particularly at the start of an Olympic year. Yoshiaki Iowa, who led the dressage at the London Olympic Games, listeners, in case you've forgotten that little snippet. A new ride for him, 2019 Burley winner, MGH Grafton Street, formerly of Pippa Funnels. He's still based at Pippa's. 22% win chance in that section. That is a really exciting one.
It is. You know, Yoshi is a top rider. And he's been based on the continent for on and off for quite a long time. He's now at Pippa's Yard. Sweet Instagram pictures. He's a top rider. As we know, this is a 5-star horse. I think they're a really interesting combination. And you know, we know that with the Japanese riders, we're not just looking at them forming a team for an Olympics. We're looking at them being highly competitive at every level in this country and at an Olympics. So yes, we shall see. I mean, you know, let's not put all the pressure in the world on them. I think they have had an OI run, but yeah, it'll be very interesting to see, and good luck to them both.
I would also say, fingers crossed, we do get to see them, because they are at Kronenberg this weekend.
Right. Okay. Right. So perhaps we won't then, although you never know. They only ask 4-star shorts, and they might want to get as much experience in together as quickly as possible.
I imagine a big qualification tick box. So if things don't go to plan on Kronenberg, a quick rerun could be very much on the cards, because obviously they'll need a 4-star short qualification to be able to enable them to get a 4-star long. Don't know what their plans are, but I would imagine you're looking at Ballindennis or Saumur or somewhere in Europe over the next couple of months. So they're going to need a full long. Or Bramham. Bramham's cutting it fine. I'd say you're cutting it a bit fine. You're going to be right on the cusp of your qualification window at Bramham. You really are.
Yeah. Anyway, even if they do run in Quotenberg and run well, you think they have a chance of running next weekend? We're not talking 4-star long length tracks. So yeah.
You don't know their name now, but you will this time next year. Horse from last year on the podium at Blenheim in the 8-9-year-olds went really well at Buccleuch as well. Tim Price's Gerillo is also pretty high on the market. Really, really smart horse, and very much one that I think is got to be talked about a little bit for Tim for the Olympic Games. Interestingly for me, I again would come back to, I don't know how quickly Tim would run, but this is a really, really, really smart horse. Really nice.
I can't believe the consistency of it. It's jumped double clear in every single event internationally, bar Mill Street Nations Cup last year, which was just one down in the show jumping. Just so consistent.
It's an absolute machine. Watch a show jump, listeners. It is an actual machine. It's awesome. I have actually got one that I think is going to be very, very interesting, because the eagle-eyed listeners might have spotted on the entry list another combination to watch for Japan. Ryuzu Katajima has Be My Daisy, who was top 4 at Adelaide in the 5-star last year with Shane Rose. Has had so much success, Daisy, over in Australia with Shane and previously with Stuart and Gemma Tinney. But a new ride for him this year. And again, we'll look to be getting those qualification markers in, but I think is a very, very big one to watch.
Interesting, yes. And good Brits to watch include Aaron Miller, Friendship VDL, Tom Jackson, Plot, Twist B, a little bit further down, Quidden Deluxe and Stephen Heel, who had a great run of success at the level below for a while. And who else do we like? Keep it cool.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yep.
That's a really interesting one, actually. Wills has Keep It Cooley in here, who was the winner of the 3-star long format at Blair Castle last year.
There you go. Yeah.
First 4-star for the horse.
Yeah, so definitely one to watch.
I like Saffron Cresswell's Vivendi Hero.
Yes.
I think they'd be a good shout. Right. Yeah, really good. Top 20 at Blenheim, 89-year-olds last year. Took that step up to 4-star at Hartbury last year. Superstar for the future, both Saffron and Vivendi Hero.
I'm also just going to throw it out there. While we are on Team Japan watch, I'm pretty certain I saw an entry a little bit further on down here we go. By Design JRA, which is a new ride for Kazuma Tomoto. Kazu, of course, based with William, was a former Wills Oakton ride, won the 4-star long in Ballindennis last April. And again, it's a new addition to the Japanese squad going into an Olympic year. And Team Japan, remember, have that team qualification now.
Yeah. Well, as I was about to say, there was a lot of last-minute scrambling because, of course, they thought they hadn't got their squad place, but they now do. So there's last-minute deals going on this left, right, and centre. But it's really cool. They've got some really exciting horses from all over the world.
Okay, podiums. First of all, the Grantham Cup. Who wins? I normally come to everybody else first, but I really want to get my podium in there first. Now, I'm gonna be bold, so I'm gonna go away from the favourites. Laura and London 52, just because I think they have options with the ground. They don't have to run. They're not sort of planning on something else. So for me, the winner, can't look past them. They won here 2 years ago. It's the record finishing score at the venue. Piggy March, Brookfield Innocent. He doesn't run slowly. I think he's going to be back. Yes, it's his first run for a while, but Piggy to win. Second, I think in the Grantham Cup is going to be last year's winner, Emily King, Valmy Biatz. And in third, I'm going to say Ros Cantor, Lordship's Gruffalo are going to complete my podium. My dark horse is Harry Much, HD Bronze. Catherine, How about you?
All right. I think also that Piggy March wins on Brookfield Innocent. I think that Laura Collett in London 52 finished second, and Kitty King and Vondredi Biats finished third. And yeah, I said my dark horse. I'm going to stick with Faberno Lancer and Mark Davison as my dark horse.
Rosie?
Very nice. So I'm going to go Lordships Graffalo and Roscan to take the win. Piggy March, Brookfield Innocent in second, Kitty King, Vondredi Biats in third, and I'm going to stick with my dark horse as Heartbreaker Star Quality, Libby Seed.
Okay, nice. Other section, just pick a winner in the other section. I think it's quite a tricky one. I'm going to say Wills Oakton and keep it cool.
Yes, am I.
So
am I.
I'm going to go with Tim Price and Durillo.
Oh, yeah.
It's also worth pointing out that while I know that we focus on international classes, the advanced here is really competitive as well. So if we haven't mentioned a top rider, I mean, there are lots of them, but like William Fox Pitt, Grafenact, all that sort of stuff, look in the advanced because there's plenty in there.
Let's just pick out a few of those key names because then, listeners, you can look out for them on the entry list as well. In the advance, there's 40 entries in the advance, so it's a pretty competitive field. They have an advanced under 25 as well. You've got the likes of Molly Summerland and Flow 7. Wills Oakton actually has, a lot of his 5-star horses in here. So Arclo Puissance, Class Cooley and the like. Pippa Funnel has Myers Hope, Richard Jones. He's an Eco-Voltz rider. Alfie's Clover is there. Zara Tyndall, Classicals Eurostar.
And
Class Affair. If you're a Zara fan, I would definitely say go and take a look at Classicals Eurostar. It's really, really smart. Stepped up to 4-star level last year. She is a really, really nice horse. Pippa Funnel has MCS Maverick, her Brahman winner as well. There's a couple of other entries in here to look out for, like you touched upon, William Foxpick and Grafenact. So look, there's some really, really smart horses across all of the classes at the Eventing Spring Carnival. I have absolutely no doubt that it is going to be very competitive. Catherine, Rosie, thank you very, very much. Looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Yes, in the mud, in your wellies. It'll be great.
Yeah, it's going to be good fun.
And listeners, if you haven't already booked your tickets, why not go and pay Thoresby a visit? We'll pop a link in the show notes. We'll pop the link up on social media. Go and support the event. Enjoy watching some brilliant eventing action in a beautiful location. But also there is fun for the whole family. So even take the non-horsey members that might be interested as well, because it could be the best of both worlds. And what better way to spend Easter weekend than watching some top class sport. Massive thank you to Eco-Voltz for their support of this show, and looking forward to seeing how it all plays out, because listeners, the British eventing season, yes, it is underway, but it feels like first big international. It's really underway now. Sam Lissington, are you ready to take on Fairfax and Favour's quick fire questions?
Ready.
Okay, let's go. What is your favourite meal?
My favourite meal is probably a platter of any description.
What is the best piece of advice that you have ever been given?
Probably a Winnie the Pooh quote, which says, sometimes the only means of travel is a leap of faith.
Oh, I love that. That's great. What is your go-to Fairfax and Favour boot?
Definitely the Rockingham, and I've got it in mahogany, which I've found is great because actually I can wipe off the dirt and the mud and give the leather a nice oil and they look good as new.
Sam Lissington, thank you for playing Fairfax and Favour's Quickfire Questions.
Thanks for having me.